Did you know that villagers can wear armor to protect themselves from zombies? Or that it is faster to terminate a blaze using snowballs instead of a netherite axe? Well, these are some Minecraft myths, and today we're going to be taking a look at 20 of the most popular Minecraft myths and determining whether they are indeed true or they are total lies. So the first myth is supposedly that you can turn the warden invisible with a potion of invisibility. So let's see whether this myth is real or if it's fake. Let's place him down again. And potion of invisibility, you can see he's gone invisible. That's where he is. Bang, and I die. So this is not a myth, it is real. Now, the next myth is that supposedly this guy here, an iron golem, is unable to drown. So this is going to be a little bit hard to test. So I'm going to do one other myth at the same time, is that supposedly you cannot build iron golem underwater. And I'm going to place a pumpkin on his head. And if this myth is true, nothing should happen. So 3, 2, 1. And boom, you can see that an iron golem cannot actually be made underwater. But what does this mean? Can an iron golem still drown? And let's see whether he can drown or not. So can this guy drown? So a couple seconds has passed now, and you can see that he is not drowning. So as you can see, it is in fact true, and this is true. Iron golems cannot drown whilst being underwater. So the next test is to see whether Enderman can be shot by an arrow. So I've got two tests here, one with a normal bow and arrow, and the second with a crossbow. So supposedly, when you shoot an Enderman, they will just teleport away, and you cannot hit them with an arrow. So we're going to try with the bow first. And you can see that he teleported away. So now let's try with the crossbow. And you can see that it is in fact true. It is impossible to shoot an Enderman in Minecraft. So our next myth is to see whether we can convert a normal skeleton into a stray by just using some powdered snow. So supposedly we can cover this skeleton in some powdered snow and he will just turn into a stray. So I'm just using the powdered snow buckets here. I'm going to cover the skeleton. We need to test whether we actually need to be close. As you can hear by that sound there, I think this is in fact true. And you can see that we have converted a normal skeleton into a stray. So this is in fact true. The next myth that we will be testing is that villagers such as this guy here, I don't know why he doesn't have any eyes. This guy here can use any piece of armor to survive a longer zombie attack. So I've now encased the villager in these cobblestone blocks here, and we're going to test to see whether he wants any armor. So I'm going to throw in all the pieces of armor, and then we're going to spawn a zombie right in front of him. And let's see whether he will put on any of the armor that he has in front of him. It doesn't look like he wants to put on any of it. It's just taking hits, and it doesn't look like he wants to put on any armor. I'm going to say that this is false, and this myth has been busted. So our next test is with these guys here, these blazes, and the test is to see whether they will die quicker to a snowball than a netherite axe. And supposedly a blaze will die a lot quicker to snowballs than they will a netherite axe. So let's try. So we're going to single one out over here, and we're going to throw some snowballs at him. So let's try this guy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that was 7 snowballs to 1 blaze. Now we're going to try 2 tests with the axe. We're going to see whether how many it takes with a critical hit and how many just hitting it normally. So we'll try crits first. So 1, 2. So that was 2 hits with an axe. And we're going to try 1 just normally. So 1, 2, and once again 2 hits with a netherite axe. So this myth here is indeed busted. It is quicker to kill a blaze with a netherite axe than using snowballs. To make sure you do indeed bring an axe or some other weapon other than snowballs to the nether. So our next test and next myth is that supposedly you can survive down there in the void for an unlimited amount of time as long as you have enough notch apples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop 1 notch apple and then jump down and then continuously eat them and see whether we can survive. So in 3, 2, 1, let's pop the notch apple and go down here, and we're going to start taking damage. So I'm going to continuously eat these notch apples now, and let's see how long we can live for. So it seems to be going good. And I'm going to do another test. So I've been holding down right click now, eating some apples for a long time. And I'm going to stop eating now and let's see how quickly we will die. So I'm not sure how long that was. I'm sure there'll be a timer on the screen. I think this myth is indeed true and that you can survive for an unlimited amount of time in the void as long as you have enough notch apples. Our next myth is that supposedly if you place a piece of bedrock on top of your beacon, it will still go through. Now we all know that if you place a piece of glass on top, it will change the color of the beacon. But how does bedrock work? I don't think this is going to work. Let me know what you guys think below in 3, 2, 1. No way. You could see that the beacon does in fact go through bedrock. So we all know that endermans, when they're in water, they will take damage and they will teleport away. But supposedly in this next myth, the enderman can stand in water as long as they are inside a cauldron. So I'm going to spawn an enderman in. So let's see. I'm going to place him in and it looks like that is true. An enderman can in fact stand in water as long as it's inside a cauldron. Now, we all know that you can't place water down like that. You can't just place a bucket of water down in the nether and it works. But supposedly, you can place a water source inside of a cauldron and that will work. So let's try it now. So if I quickly get myself on fire, let's see. Oh no, I'm on fire. If I place my water source down inside the cauldron, I can actually cool myself off and stop being on fire from lava by placing my water source down inside of the cauldron. So yes, that is in fact true. You can place water down in the nether as long as it is placed inside a cauldron. Now, it is supposedly possible to MLG inside of a cauldron. You can see we've got a cauldron down there. Now, apparently, if we jump into this water, we will not take any damage at all. Let's go for it in 3, 2, 1. In fact, let me try it one more time just to make sure that we're landing in the middle. And I think that was pretty central. We'll try it again just to be certain. But you can see this is in fact false and you cannot MLG inside of a cauldron. Now, supposedly you can name a rabbit or a bunny Toast and it changed the rabbit's skin entirely. So I've just gone and thrown a bunch of different rabbits down here. And we've got an anvil and a name tag and we're going to name it Toast like that. And let's see whether it changes the rabbit's skin. So it's just, as you can see, it's this type of rabbit. We're going to rename it to Toast. And as you can see, it actually changes the rabbit's skin to Toast. If you guys know why this happens, make sure you comment it down below, as I'm really intrigued as to why this works. Our next myth is that supposedly you can use the Frost Walker enchantment on top of lava and also on magma. So I've got some netherite boots here. I'm just going to go ahead and throw some Frost Walker enchantment on that and then put those boots on. And you can see that they're working obviously on water, but does this work on lava? And will I take damage on lava and magma? So we'll do magma first. So you can see that I'm not taking any damage on top of magma. So this part of the myth is busted and this is true. You do not take damage when walking on lava when you have the Frostwalker enchantment boots on. But can you use Frostwalker on top of lava? That is false. That myth is busted. You cannot use Frostwalker enchantment to walk on top of lava. Our next myth is that supposedly when you smelt a wet sponge using a bucket of lava, once the wet sponge is fully smelted, our lava bucket will fill up with water. Let's see, it's nearly done. You can see that our water bucket has indeed filled up with water. So that's a nice way to replenish your water source if you can't be bothered to walk however many blocks it is to your nearest water source. So we all know in Minecraft that if you have a totem and you're holding a totem, when you die, you will not actually die and your totem will just be consumed. So that's why the majority of us offhand the totem and play it like that. But this myth claims that supposedly if you die and land on top of a totem, you will in fact live. So I'm going to throw a totem down there and I should be high enough to die from this distance. I haven't got any armor on and we're going to jump on top and try and land on top of that totem down there. So in 3, 2, 1, we're going to land and we're going to land on top of that totem. And you can see I actually picked up the totem when I landed. but we still died. So this myth is in fact busted, and you cannot land on top of a totem and survive. Our next test is that supposedly if you put a netherite ingot inside of a shulker box and your shulker box then gets thrown into lava, supposedly your shulker box will not burn. And quite honestly, I cannot believe I'm even going to do this. So I put a netherite ingot inside of a shulker box alongside all of these other like diamonds and emeralds and so on. And I'm going to mine that shulker box and I'm going to throw this into the lava and see whether it burns. So in 3, 2, 1, throw it in there and you can see it burns, but the netherite ingot there doesn't burn. So don't go throwing your shulker box into lava with netherite, as it clearly, as demonstrated here, does not work. Now this next one, we're going to be seeing whether if you throw an invisibility pot on top of a shulker, does it actually remove the shulker's shell? Supposedly it will, but let's give it a go in 3, 2, 1. No, that is in fact false. This myth is busted. When you throw a potion of invisibility on top of a shulker, it does not make the shulker shell disappear. Now we've got a very strange one here, and I think sitting on this beach is very fitting. So if we place a crafting table down and we right click in the crafting table and press this button here, and on the search, supposedly if you type in excited, spelled like this, and then ZE on the end, it will change your language to pirate language. And you can see here we've got crafting now. If we go through the creative menu, you can see that it's actually changed the language of some of these blocks, and this is crazy. I don't know whether this is intended. It must be, I would imagine, but yeah, this is a very strange myth, and it is true. Now in this one, supposedly a blaze can light this campfire, so I'm going to spawn the blaze in. Let's go into survival. Now supposedly this blaze here is going to light this campfire, so I've got myself a splash potion of fire resistance so I don't die, and we can try it. And it actually happened already. You can see that this guy has actually lit this campfire, which is crazy. If we throw a replay on the screen, you can see how quickly that blaze lit this campfire. So this myth is in fact true, and blazes can indeed light campfires. And here's one extra bonus myth. Now, before we jump into this extra bonus myth, make sure to comment down below any other Minecraft myths which I may have missed. So in this myth, supposedly if we trick this skeleton here at shooting through this lava, hitting this piece of TNT, and it blowing up on all of these creepers, supposedly all of these creepers below are going to drop some music discs. We all know that when a skeleton shoots one creeper, it will drop a music disc. So let's see what happens when it shoots this TNT and it explodes all of these creepers. It has exploded that, and you can see below it's going to explode. Let me move out of the way. Look at all of those music discs. This is proven, and this is correct. When a skeleton explodes all of these creepers, it will drop all of these music discs. So this is an excellent trick if you want to collect a bunch of music discs in vanilla Minecraft.